Hello everyone, welcome back to Real Life. I hope you're having a great day. Today's members episode is an interesting cruise south from New York City to Brazil, early in the Second World War. From an unmarked film can, the clues revealed themselves slowly as I reviewed the late 1941 footage. If correct, this would likely have been one of the last cruises for this ocean liner before the United States entered the war. By January 1942, vacation cruises had all but ceased due to increased U-boat activity off the coast of North and South America. The unknown cinematographer shot most of the footage in warmer waters and captured a wonderful crossing of the equator ceremony with King Neptune. The first stop before the ceremony was likely somewhere in Venezuela. The SS California was the world's first major ocean liner built with turbo-electric propulsion. When launched in 1927, she was also the largest merchant ship yet built in the United States, although she was modest in size compared with bigger European liners of her era. She would be renamed Uruguay in 1938. The California was one of the first of three sister ships built by Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company of Newport News, Virginia, for the Panama Pacific Lines, a subsidiary of American Line Steamship Corporation, which was part of J.P. Morgan's International Mercantile Marine Company. The California was the largest American-built passenger liner at the time. The ship's keel was laid 20th of March 1926 as hull number 325 and launched on 1 October 1927 and delivered to American Line on 13 January 1928. Mrs. Roland Palmetto, wife of the businessman Roland Palmetto and daughter of the president of the International Mercantile Marine, sponsored the launch. The ship left New York for the Pacific coast on 28 January 1928 to begin the regular route between the coasts by way of the Panama Canal. California's sister ship, the SS Virginia, was launched in 1928, and the third of the trio, Pennsylvania, was launched in 1929. All three ships entered the fleet Panama Pacific Lines. California was a steamship with oil-fired furnaces heating her boilers to power two steam turbo generators that ran at a constant 2,800 RPM. These supplied current to her 18-foot-high electric propulsion motors, which had a combined rating of 17,000 shaft horsepower. The turbo generators and propulsion motors were built by General Electric, which was the world pioneer of turbo-electric propulsion, having supplied the turbo generators and electric motors for USS New Mexico, the world's first turbo-electric ship a decade earlier. On 10 June 1938, the United States Maritime Commission purchased the ship, made repairs, and placed it under an operating agreement with Moore McCormick Line, 13 January 1939. The Maritime Commission operating agreement continued until the 30th of January 1942, when the operation of commercial-type ships was turned over to the War Shipping Administration, which then continued the operating agreement with Moore McCormick until 9 July 1946. In 1938, Newport News Shipbuilding dry-docked and extensively refurbished the California as Hull 377. New propellers were fitted. All three sisters were fireproof to comply with federal safety regulations, which had been revised as a result of the fire in 1934 that destroyed the liner Morro Castle. California's staterooms were improved. Her air conditioning was extended to her tourist class accommodation, a new swimming pool was installed, and her afterdeck was rebuilt with the addition of a veranda cafe. When the United States entered the Second World War, the War Shipping Administration took over all ocean transport operations and had the Uruguay converted into a troop ship. The work was carried out from 2 January 1942 to 1 March 1942 and included the installation of a hospital. The ship, a large and fast vessel capable of independent voyages without escort, was operated by WSA agents and allocated in support of Army troop transport requirements with a passenger capacity of 4,470 troops. On 3 March 1942, Uruguay sailed from Brooklyn, New York, carrying U.S. troops. She sailed via the Panama Canal and Bora Bora, reaching Auckland, New Zealand on 9 April. She then sailed to Melbourne, Australia, and back to New Zealand. She left Wellington Harbor on 28 April carrying Royal New Zealand Air Force cadets and arrived in San Francisco, California on 14 May. On 26 May, Uruguay sailed from San Francisco carrying U.S. troops and reached Auckland on 12 June. After the war, she was returned to civilian service as the SS Uruguay in 1948, laid up in 1954, and scrapped in 1964. A few of the notable passengers that sailed on the Uruguay. In 1939, Carmen Miranda left Brazil aboard Uruguay to start her career in the United States. She arrived in New York on the 18th of May. In 1940, Leopold Stokowski and his All-American Youth Orchestra toured South America and recorded native Brazilian music aboard the ship. There's plenty of footage of Rio and Santos, Brazil, with possible other locations waiting to be identified. At 18 minutes 19 seconds, there's also a brief shot of the freighter MS Bajamar, built in 1931. She would serve in the North Atlantic convoy supplying Britain during the war. There are numerous cargo and warships in the background throughout the reel. With regards to the Morro Castle tragedy, episode number 34 has some remarkable footage from the day after, captured from the beach. I encourage you to look deeper into the history of the Uruguay, as I only just touched on her history. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Be kind, and we'll see you next time on Real Life.